with my stick reader. So if we divide that by the 70 sheep in the shed, whew, the sun is bright here at Lanark Market. Good morning, sheep fans. Cammy's the name, sheep's the game. Today I am selling lambs again, and we've got a really good comparison in this video. I think it's a good reflection of how, if we all had hindsight, we'd be millionaires. But I sold lambs back in December that you're going to see in the first half of this video. They were sold store. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, a store lamb is a lamb that's intended for the meat market but isn't quite finished yet, so it's not fleshy enough to be sold into the food chain. So what happens is farmers like myself will sell them on to other farmers who have a better setup or better grass or facilities to finish that lamb. So the first part of this video is me selling some stores back in December, and then after that I put the remainder of my lambs in the shed and I sell them finished, ready for the meat market in January, and we'll compare the two prices and show the difference in holding your nerve. Now, just for perspective, the reason I sold these lambs store in December was actually because I had been successful, as had everyone I believe, for the Sustainable Agricultural Grant, and I had to find a few £1,000s to buy a combi clamp that I don't really need and an electronic set of scales, which I definitely do need. So this was a quick way of raising money for that, because being a new entrant farmer working off rented ground, I don't have a lot of cash in the bank. It's a big turnover of money all the time. Cash flow is really important, and selling store lambs is a great way of getting some quick cash, which is why I sold these lambs. Let's take a look at them, go into the market, and how much I got for them. So, as I just described, the first part of this video is taking some lambs to the store sale at Lanark. Now, Lanark's sale is on a Friday, which is when this was filmed, and there's no special selection process here. I ran this batch of 100 lambs into the pen, and the first trailer load that ran on were the ones that were going to be sold at the store sale. So it's a pretty even split of this group of lambs, which gives us quite a good comparison for later in the video when we see how the store lambs sell pre-Brexit compared to how the fat lambs sell post-Brexit. So as you can see, it's not the best setup here. I eventually managed to get some lambs onto the trailer. I believe we end up with 58 heading to Lanark. So we're loaded up, we'll jump on the road, and I'll show you the lambs in the pen when we get to Lanark here. So, as you can see here, the lambs have already been put into the pens in what is a very typical look at a Scottish livestock market. The first two pens you're seeing are Texel cross lambs off of my mule ewes, and they've just been split up a first draw based on their size. They're going to be split up further again before being sold in the ring. The third pen that we have here, these are Cheviot mule lambs. Now, the breeding of these lambs is a Cheviot mother and a blue-faced Leicester father, and that produces a lamb that looks like this, and they are very popular as females for future breeding. The final pen is a pen of pure Jacob lambs, as you can see here. Now, these have all been castrated and are being sold as stores. I have retained the females for breeding at home. So the sheep are in their pens, as you're seeing here. I have just nipped out to the pickup to finish doing my paperwork because I had to scan all the ear tags with my stick reader. You keep asking for me to do a demonstration on the stick reader. I haven't done it yet. I will do it at some point when I'm not rushing about so busy. Movement form to do, as always. In Scotland, and I imagine England has something similar, you have to fill in a sheep and goat movement document every time you take sheep anywhere off your holding or off your farm. There's something we're going to get into at some point as well, is I have 18 holdings. So even when I move a sheep from one field to another field, I need to do one of these forms. It's ridiculous, but it is what it is. Do that, grab this, switch it on, switch the printer on, go to continue session, select, down, 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 select. Switch it off. Feed, rip. Add one on that I missed. Into the market we go. Now there's still no filming in the markets, although I've got a couple of little clips of the lambs in the pens, but at the ringside there's no filming. So what we're going to do is the lambs at the pens, I'm going to talk through the trade and show you the lambs that I'm talking about, so you can really visualise how much these lambs are worth as you see them. So this is what a traditional Scottish sales line would look like, and as you can see, when they went to the ring, the lambs were further split up into 7 different lots. Now the market does this as a way of maximising your return by grouping the lambs appropriately, so the buyers are getting nice even batches of lambs. So there's no one lamb that's going to pull down the value of a group of lambs. And as you can see, there's a variety of different averages. If you look at the prices on the right hand side, it shows you the individual average for each lamb sold in that pen, and then the total value for that pen of lambs. So you can see there's a variety going from £86 for the best lambs to £66.50 for that pen of Jacobs, and the overall average was £77 per head. So remember that figure, that's the one we're going to work off of when we're looking at the difference in price from these lambs that were sold pre-Brexit to the lambs that I'm going to sell finished post-Brexit. So that was the first part back in December when I sold those store lambs. Now before I tell you about the second part, I want to just take a second. I don't usually do this, but this is quite a special one. I'm dedicating this episode and a big shout out and happy birthday to Scott Dawson from Perthshire. Now it's Scott's 80th birthday today, and I'm well aware I was contacted by your lovely daughter Irene, who tells me you're spreading the good word about the sheep game all around Perthshire. I appreciate that very much. Thanks for the support. She also told me about the difficult circumstances with not being able to see your wife Nancy, who is in a care home at the moment with this COVID restrictions, and the whole thing sounds absolutely hellish. So hopefully with these vaccines being rolled out, there's something positive to come out of this, and hopefully the end is in sight. So Scott, happy birthday, have a good one. 80 years old, some go. If I don't start getting some sleep, I'll never see that. Good on you. Now on to the next part of the video. What I'm going to do here is put lambs into a shed, and I'm going to talk over with you the costs involved in putting those lambs in the shed, and then how much I make selling them at the end, and we work out whether I would actually have been better off just selling them as store lambs in December. Hope you find it interesting. Here we go. These lambs that you are seeing coming off this trailer are just the other half of the ones we saw sold in the first part of this video, and as you can see, there's a fair mixed bag of lambs. There's even still a Jacob lamb there. Now these lambs, it's their first time in a shed. As you can see, they've never even seen a creep feeder before, so they're a little bit spooked by it, but they'll settle down quite fast. It was getting a little bit dark by the time we got the last of the lambs into the shed. However, we ended up with around 70 lambs in the shed on ad lib creep feeding. Now this was a MAIZE pellet mix I got from Tarff Valley, and is obviously one of the biggest expenses with putting lambs into a shed, is the ad lib feeding that I am putting them on here. Other things to consider are the straw bedding, which comes at a cost of £20 per bale, and haylage, which, although I produced my own haylage this year, we've still got to give it a value, and in this instance we'll value it at £10 per bale. So let's jump forward 4 weeks and get a look at the lambs on sale day and find out how much it's cost me to finish these lambs. So 4 weeks down the line, and it's time to pull out some lambs and take them to the sale. All I'm doing here with this terrible setup, you can see, is putting my hands on any lambs that I don't think look fleshy enough, and pulling them out so as they don't spoil the pen when we get to market. After a rigorous selection process, I end up with 49 lambs and 3 older ewes that were also in the shed getting fleshed up. We load them onto the trailer and get ready for the long run through to Lanark for the sale. Before I take the lambs to Lanark though, let past Cammy just load up the trailer and let future Cammy tell you about how much it has cost me to get these lambs to this point. So in terms of feed costs, these lambs have had 4 tonnes of feeding at a total cost of £1,260. They have had 5 bales of straw, which has been a total cost of £100, and 5 bales of haylage at a total cost of £50. Now, not including any rates for the shed, that comes to a total of £1,410. So if we divide that by the 70 sheep in the shed, to get to this point they're at just now has cost £20 per head, which is quite a lot of money in the space of a month. And remember, the first batch of lambs we sold made £77 in the store sale back in December. So let's get these lambs up to the sale, through the ring, and find out if holding on to them was the right thing to do, or should we have just sold them all back in December. Whew, the sun is bright here at Lanark Market. That's the lambs dropped off in at the market. Obviously the things are still the same. With COVID and restrictions, we can't film within the market and I can't go and see the lambs weighed. If I could, I would obviously show you that part of it. The auctioneer will drop me a text later on with my results, the weights and the prices I got. So when we get home tonight, we'll discuss that. And we're back home, as I just described, ready to sum up this video and show you the prices we got for these lambs at the sale on the 25th of January. Here's the sale line on the screen, and as you can see, the lambs averaged £106 per head. That sounds fantastic, which it is. It's a great trade for prime lambs, but let's do the sums. £106 minus the £20 that I invested into them leaves you with £86 per lamb. So that's a margin between those and the store lambs at £77 of roughly £9. Now, bear in mind, with those calculations, I'm not working out the cost for housing, that's not included in that, or the labour for rolling out bales, collecting bales, filling creep feeders. That should all really be factored in as well. But you're looking at £9 per head there as it is just now. Other factors you'll see from this line, there was a cost for clipping the lambs, which you don't get when you sell store, and there's also the levy that's added on for selling prime lambs. Those two together there come to another £67, £68 that comes off your profit. It's another £1 a lamb. So by the time we finish all this and work all that out, the question I have for you guys is, was it worth it? Let me know what you think in the comments. That's the end of another one. Cheers, guys. Shh, what's that? Just kidding. I put a light on the camera, and whenever I see the reflection back, I always think of the Blair Witch Project. Anyway, that's enough about that.